If you're going to go fast, go it alone. If you want to go far, you got to go together. In this season where many are feeling like they're living a desert island experience, I want to bring us back together through stories. Although physically distant, our stories will bring us closer together and closer to God.
So here we are again at our Desert Island Reflections. Have the privilege today of talking to Gary Hill, who's familiar to probably many people in church. And a few things that I didn't know about Gary is that he likes to store things up that might be useful at a stage down the road, but then he finds maybe he has too much stuff and he's trying to change that and dispose of things a little bit more. He has such a great appreciation of the natural world. So thank you for joining us here today, Gary. I'd love to know a bit about your story so far. So maybe you could tell us a bit about where you grew up.
I grew up in Bray in County Wicklow. My dad didn't have a job and a friend of his told him he could get him a job up in Shorts in the aircraft company up in Belfast. So they went up there just after they were married, and I was born there in 1942. About a year and a half later, we came back down and I grew up in Bray. When I was about 15, I think, we moved to Dunleary. Went to school in Dunleary, secondary school, and then on to Trinity, trained as a teacher in King's Hospital. And then Eileen and I, well, we met in college and got married in 1968. And the same year we went out to West Africa. We taught out there for 4 years, and our 2 oldest children were born out there. But my dad sent me an ad out of the paper for Wilson's Hospital. They were looking for a French teacher. So I applied for that and we got that job. So we worked then in Wilson's Hospital for 4 years. And then I moved into Loretto College, spent the last nearly 30 years of my teaching career in Loretto College. I retired in 2000 and here I am in my garden today.
But I can't imagine that you had a very quiet retirement. I'm sure you kept yourself busy the last 20 odd years.
I was very interested in photography, and then when I take people's photographs, I took a lot of like the Deb's photographs from Loretto. Then some of the girls from Loretto asked me, "Do you do weddings?" And I'd never done a wedding, but I said, "Well, I haven't, but oh, we'd love you to do our wedding." And so I got into wedding photography for a while. People were asking me, "Well, do you frame photographs?" So I did the Fine Art Trade Guild course in picture framing. And then about 5 years ago, I decided, look, I've done enough of this and I'm just enjoying other things, mainly looking after grandchildren. It's lovely to have 14 grandchildren who we see when we're not limited by COVID.
And there's been a camper van in the mix as well. I remember a camper van being outside the house.
Yeah, we did have a camper van at one stage, yeah. I still have a bit of a longing, I must say, secret desire to go off in a camper van again. But for the moment, no.
And tell me a bit about your journey, you know, around faith as well. When did that all start? And
It was nothing really dramatic conversion experience. Some friends of mine in school, in primary school, they were in, I suppose it was the Brethren Church there in Bray, and there used to be a Sunday school in the afternoon, and I used to go along with them to that, and that really, I think, whetted my appetite for the things of the Lord. And I know my parents were really seeking as well and not altogether satisfied. We were in the Church of Ireland, and then we went to Crinkin Church, which is Church of Ireland. I think it was from there and from the preaching of the minister there that my heart was really turned to the Lord. He used to run boys' camps then during the summertime, and I've a definite experience when I was about 11 being at one of those camps and really deciding, this is for me, I want to follow this man, Jesus.
I love the way you described it in your notes. You said wanted to follow that God who was calling you. You know, that there seemed to have been in your, you know, appreciation of nature and the natural world, that you felt this calling on your...
I've always been just totally amazed by nature. Just always felt, well, this doesn't just happen by chance.
So I understand, Gary, that you've been part of the church from the very early days when you were meeting out in Multifarnham. Maybe you could tell us a bit about that.
I mean, we'd been meeting in our home for quite some time on a Sunday evening, and a number of people had joined with us at that stage. I suppose that the time came when you realised there were people coming from all sorts of different backgrounds, church backgrounds, and do we bring them into one of these groupings? And I think that there was a bit of a move in the country then at that stage too. There were various groups around the country that were just setting up house churches, really. We decided we'd just move into that. It just sort of seemed to slide into it. And so we started meeting in our home in Multifarnham. Then that got a bit too big, but also we felt, well, we're a bit out in the country, we should come into the town. So we rented at various stages, 3, 4, 5 different places, I think, in the town. At the moment now we're in Spoutwell Lane, as you know. I've gradually been very happy to hand over more and more responsibility to younger people. So I'm not actually officially on any leadership capacity as such, but I just want to be there to serve.
We asked you to think about maybe different verses or passages in the scriptures that have been maybe signposts or very significant to you along your journey. And you talked about Psalm 23 and Romans 8 and Ephesians 2. Do you want to tell us a bit about why they're significant for you?
I suppose it was like this, appreciating the wonder of a creator God, and then realising Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, that this God who has made everything could be a shepherd to me. I suppose different crises that I've been through and feeling that there was something that was really special about the love of God that nothing could separate me from. And that's obviously the end of Romans chapter 8. I have a very clear memory once when our English teacher in secondary school, he used to get us to write essays, English essays. And one week he'd set a topic and he'd often read out an essay, or he'd always comment something on the essay that you'd written. And one week, I can't quite remember exactly what the title was, but it was something like, write about something that has been really significant for you, that you can base your life on. I thought, well, what do I write about? It's the fact that the love of God, nothing can separate me from that. And if you know those verses at the end of Romans 8, it says, like neither life nor death, nor principalities, nor powers, nor height, nor anything can separate me from this love of God. But he was going through the essays and he came to mine, and you were always called by your surname in school in those days. So he said, Hill, I just want to thank you for what you've written. That was really significant. Thank you very much. So he didn't actually say in front of the class
expose you or something. Yeah,
but obviously it meant something to him. So
the third verse was around Ephesians.
Isn't it wonderful that my prayers, so inadequate as they are something that the Lord can take up, and that he can do exceeding abundantly more than we ask or even think. And so that's really encouraged me as I've prayed for different situations and realised, well, the Lord can do more than I'm even praying for.
Have you had a chance to kind of think about your whole experience in the last year or so, and what's been the good things, the bad things?
One of the good things has certainly been just I've slowed down from all the busyness. It's so easy, Niamh, I've had just to get locked into doing this and that and rushing here and there and everywhere. But I've really appreciated just having that time to read more, to wait quietly before the Lord. I think the only negative thing for me really has been that I haven't seen as much of people. I love just sitting down, having, meeting them downtown, a cup of coffee or something, and chatting with them, seeing my grandkids. I'm just looking forward to seeing them again.
So thank you so much, Gary, for your time today.
And you're welcome, Niamh.
I know we call this Desert Island Reflections, but I don't feel very desert-like here in your beautiful, lush garden. And although we've had to have been physically apart for now so many months, our hope really is in through sharing these stories that we get closer to each other and also get closer to God. So thank you for your time today, Gary.